All right, we're pleased to be joined by Mets President Sandy Alderson. And Sandy, obviously there is a lot to get to as far as your current team is concerned, but you definitely had some strong connections with Tommy Lasorda. You were the architect that built that Olympic team in 2000 that won gold in the 2000 games, a team that Tommy managed. And, of course, he beat your 1988 Oakland A's, a team that you were the general manager for in the World Series. I'm just wondering, what are you feeling right now upon the news of his passing?
Well, look, it's a tremendous loss for baseball. Tommy was, Mr. Baseball, but if there were ever a term that we're apt, that certainly was. Tommy was a great, ambassador for the game in whatever capacity, as a manager with the Dodgers, as manager of the Olympic team, even in his sojourns outside the country to places like the Dominican Republic. I first met Tommy when we were looking to trade Rickey Henderson back in 1993 or 94, whenever it was. The Dodgers were very interested, and he was part of a very colorful front office at that time. Later, I would have dinner with him occasionally in the Dominican Republic. He loved fettuccine Alfredo at Vesuvio's on the Malecon in Santo Domingo. Loved the old hotel, the Embajador. But where I really got to know him was not in 1998 when their last World Series victory before this one this year, but was with the Olympic team in 2000. It was, originally, Tommy was Bud Selig's idea to manage that team. I wasn't thrilled about the selection at the time, but it proved to be exactly the right fit. Tommy was a little older at that time, but he certainly had enough energy to get through the 4 or 5 weeks that project lasted. Spent a lot of time with him in Australia. He was very bombastic, very patriotic, bigger than life, and brought that to the Olympic team. And I think that, his personality allowed those players, with various pedigrees, to eventually succeed and win that gold medal in a lot of very critical games that led up to the gold medal game against Cuba. One of the interesting things was, Tommy talked a lot and sometimes didn't follow through. He made it a commitment to all the players that he would live in the Olympic Village with the players, knowing that it wasn't, going to be a 5-star accommodation. Tommy lasted 1 day in the Olympic Village and, spent the night on a cot. Didn't have access to that fettuccine Alfredo when he's back in the hotel within 24 hours. But that did not detract at all from his relationship with the players. It was just a wonderful time. He befriended my father. My wife was with me in Sydney, and it was a very small group, and we had just a great time. It was tremendous. And I know Tommy felt that was one of the high points of his career, but he had a long and distinguished one. It's a big loss. We had a 20th year anniversary of the Olympic team just last fall, and Tommy was on the call, and he made the call. I mean, all the players who were on the call, it was all about Tommy. And his health wasn't great at that time, but the essence of Tommy Lasorda still came through, and it was a great hour or so that we were on the call reminiscing. But he's going to be missed by a lot of people who just came in contact with him from time to time, just like me. It's really a loss.
Sandy, those are great stories, and like most Tommy Lasorda stories, they make us all smile. My question for you is, you've obviously been around and seen a lot of managers in your time in this game. How do you judge Tommy's legacy? And is there still a place in the game today for a manager like Tommy Lasorda?
Well, when I look at managers, I think about leadership generally. And to me, there are two components. One is sort of professional competence. The other is the personal qualities that any individual brings to a job. And, Tommy was proficient in the professional side between the lines. But I think what really drove him and drove his players were his personal qualities. And, there were some rough edges there, but he was an enthusiastic, constantly upbeat individual. And when you're thinking about managing for 162 games a year, the most important thing is keeping those players as ready as they can possibly be. And that's all about setting a tone in the clubhouse and providing that kind of personal leadership that doesn't really have to do with, whether you bond or sacrifice or what have you. I was with another manager, Billy Martin, early in my career. Billy was a super between the lines manager, but didn't have quite the personal qualities that would allow him to sustain relationships for long periods of time. I'm sure our friends with the New York Yankees and their fans remember that well.
Sandy, we'll get you out of here on this one. Obviously, a banner day for your club on Thursday with the acquisitions of Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco. Your team has been mentioned as still having conversations with other clubs, namely the Chicago Cubs, about possible deals. What would you tell us, or how would you characterize your team's ability or want to add to your roster and maybe more moves in the future at this time?
Well, I think there will be more moves. I can't tell you, what shape those will take, how high profile they might be. But, we don't have a perfect team. Nobody ever does, but we're not close to that. And so, we have a little more flexibility, I think, in terms of how we approach the rest of the off season. So, we're going to stay active and interested in listening and talking. So I don't think, we've seen our final roster at this point, but I can't really tell you, which way we'll go. We need depth. I've said before, we're not that deep. And so some of our attention is going to be paid toward increasing our depth as opposed to, necessarily improving our frontline team.
Well, it was definitely a tremendous landmark deal on Thursday. Thank you for joining us, Sandy. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and memories of Tommy Lasorda. And enjoy the rest of the offseason, and we'll talk with you soon.
All right, guys. Thanks very much.